This week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast is brought to you by listeners like you. Head on over to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast and subscribe today. Fans, founders, and insiders like you help us keep the Run, Eat, Drink podcast going, and we thank you for your support. Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country, and after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Hey, welcome to episode 115 of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. I'm your host, Amy.
And I am your cold and chilly co-host, Dana.
Yeah, we are recording this on Memorial Day, and both of us had to combat the weather, the fabulous Florida weather.
And we lost.
And yes, we lost the battle today, but before we get started, we would like to say it's Memorial Day. And that usually means a holiday weekend. Although you had to work.
I did.
Yes. But we hope everybody else got to do a little celebrating and spending time, even if virtually, with family. And we're able to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice.
Absolutely. We were fortunate today. There were a lot of community events that gave us an opportunity to stop by at work and do some socially distanced remembrance. And
that's good.
I personally had to raise and lower our flag at the police station today to half-mast. So it was something I got to do right at sunrise. Today, which was kind of a nice little personal moment for me, if nothing else.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, aside from the gravity of the day, we also have horrible weather.
Oh my goodness!
Moving through here, and
I don't really care what weather app I looked at.
They're all wrong.
It was all wrong all weekend long. I thought it was going to be raining from start of the day to the end of the day and through the night all weekend long. So I planned to get my run in this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw, oh God, it's going to rain. Should I do it? Should I not do it? I mean,
you're texting me and I'm like, well, it's not raining at work now. I'd run out there and knock it out. I wasn't expecting you to do everything that you did today, but just if you were going to do a 5K, I'm like, go do it now.
Yeah,
you got
that's what you said. That's what you said, but we'll talk more about that in today's show.
Yeah, we have a lot coming up. Aside from the fact that we have horrible weather here in Florida, which is now going to be the new normal.
Welcome to summer.
That's our new normal. Bad weather in the afternoon here in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
But this is a summer training run for us, and we have started our newest challenge that we talked a little bit about a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah.
And we mentioned it a little bit last week, but that is our 30K Gauntlet challenge.
Yes, so we'll talk about that. And then coming up in the eat portion of our show, we have Death by Taco 239 is back, baby. They're at this time, this is a very unique time. And at this time, we have a lot of places coming back to, in the state of Florida, to 50% capacity. And some places who couldn't stay open, reopen. And Death by Taco 239 is one of our favorite food trucks that actually reopened this past week.
Yeah, this is a newer food truck here in the Southwest Florida food scene, and they just kind of got open and got their feet under them, and then all of a sudden all this stuff happened. Yeah. So, they had to close down due to, taking care of family and all that. So we are glad that they are back, and we've got some awesome stuff to talk about from them. And while we were there, our friend Tyrion Farrell at Nice Guys Pizza,
Yay.
they Death by Taco was parked out in front of Nice Guys, referred us to a beer.
Yes.
And we are featuring that beer on our show today, an offering by Sun King Brewery.
Yes. The Pachanga, if I'm saying that right.
I think so.
Mexican lager that we'll talk about in the drink portion of our show.
All right.
It's going to be a good show.
Well, I almost think that we have two separate run segments here.
You think?
This week, because you really outclassed me in your run today.
Say
and
that.
you kind of almost knocked out your whole challenge today.
You worked a whole 12-hour shift.
I did.
And then came home and ran.
I ran a 5K.
Plus, you helped a coworker stay true to a workout regimen earlier today.
I did.
So,
and I saved a turtle.
You did not get outclassed in any way.
Well, I got outdistanced.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Yes. But you had plenty on your plate today.
True.
So, yeah. So we kind of have two run segments. Although I really feel like I want to talk about the bulk of my challenge next week.
Okay.
When we earn the medal. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah. But on the docket with America's coach, Jeff Galloway.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Jeff Galloway. He said, Amy, take care of it this weekend. You got a 13-mile training run as we ramp up the mileage for you.
He did.
On the path to a marathon. So 13 miles, and I was trying to time it around the weather to be able to have the greatest number of hours without massive heat, sun, humidity,
thunderstorms.
And it just looked like it was not going to happen. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I thought, my window is going to be today.
Like between 2 and 4 a.m. on Sunday morning heading into Monday.
Yeah. So.
And to clarify, for those that are newer to the show or who haven't heard us talk about the weather, the rain down here in Florida.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a little bit different than what a lot of people get in other areas of the country. Our rainy season here is usually very intense in the afternoon. You can almost set a clock by it at about 4 in the afternoon. Yeah. And it usually rains for a couple of hours, storms, and then it's done.
Indeed.
But the problem is that with our rain usually comes horrible lightning
and thunder and just scares
Well, thunder
me.
won't kill you.
Well, the whole package scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, but lightning's what gets you.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't realize is
I'm
here
not running in that.
No. Well, here in Florida, or at least in our area of Florida, we don't. Although I say this as people who've been hit by a F2 tornado.
Yes.
Those are so rare as to be like the unicorn of meteorology.
The tornadoes.
Yeah, but we get
in our area
ton of lightning here.
Yeah, lightning
so much so
strikes.
We don't have tornado warning sirens. We have lightning warning sirens and apps that let you know when lightning is within 2 or 3 miles of the lightning stations. So lightning is a very big part of our life here in Florida.
Very much so, and we want to stay as safe as possible.
So we don't run. When there's thunderstorms out, we don't run.
Right.
Period.
Right.
So that's when people hear us talk about that, please don't think that we're being giant wusses. I mean,
yeah,
I
really.
am to a certain extent. I don't like running in the rain because chafing.
Before we did the show, I will hearken back to 2014 when we went out to California for our first race, and it was the Tinkerbell. You took one for the team and did the girly themed Disney race.
I did.
So that we could try to get to the Coast to Coast Challenge before they introduced the Star Wars race, the light side, dark side, and you could, take it and you're like, yes, or the Avengers race, you're like, yes, comic books and superheroes.
That's me.
Yes. So in 2014, one of my last training runs for Tinkerbell was done entirely in the rain, 14 miles.
But not a thunderstorm.
No thunder, no lightning, nothing.
Right.
Nice and safe, just
wet.
Yeah. This one was, I mean, I went out and walked the dogs early in the morning, and when I came back in, it was like, yeah, any moment it's going to just start pouring down. So I waited, and then there was a very brief window where you texted me and said, that from like 7 to 8 this morning, and said, get out, at least do a 5K. So I did a 5K. It was overcast. There was no thunder, no lightning, no rain.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to risk it. Here we go. I'm going to do another 5K. And I just kept it really close to the house so that if there was any dangerous weather that came our way, I could just pop right in the house.
Good call.
It doesn't make for fascinating scenery.
No.
Although I saw several bunnies today, which are just adorable little cottontail bunnies and just so cute. But, and then I was like, oh, okay, it's not raining. Let me just get that third 5K in there. And then I was like, oh gosh, that's 9.33 miles. I can get there. I can get to the half. Let me just do another 5K. And in that final 5K plus a mile to make 13, rain. And that's when you came home and you were
to grab a bite of lunch,
and you were discovering the turtle, the little baby turtle that we saved today.
We took the dogs for a walk, and as I looked down, there's a little, we have canals in our city of Cape Coral, about 400 miles of navigable canals, and there's a freshwater system, a saltwater system, and we have these soft-shell turtles that get rather large, but in our neighborhood, we often get the babies because birds have swooped down to grab them and they drop them. Yeah. And they end up landing in your yard or on the street, and then sometimes they don't make it across the street.
No.
So this one was in the street, and the dogs were sniffing it and checking it out, and I'm like, oh. So I rescued him and took him back to the canal.
Yay, and I have a picture of it that I'll post later. So cute. His name was Henry. I just named him before
For all 2 minutes we had
For all 2 minutes we had him, and the dogs were curious about him. But I'll talk more about the actual 5Ks in this training run, but I was just all about getting it done.
You're wanting to get the total 13.1 done for Jeff.
Yeah, getting the mileage done, not so much for speed. Not so much for speed because I believe so strongly in his philosophy about it doesn't matter how slow you take the long one as long as you get the entire distance done that day.
Right.
So that was my goal, and I achieved it.
Very nice.
So I'm very happy about that. And it was a very brief patch of rain in that last 5K. And it was almost like it was just making its way down our street. Like it was coming in behind me, chasing me down the street.
Oh, it absolutely was. There was, when I left the house and it had stopped raining here, I got down to the far end of our street, which is about a half mile, and it was storming there. So from that half mile distance, it went from overcast but not raining to storming.
It's weird when it comes behind and just passes you, passes right through your path. And then so I was basically wet for the last couple of miles. But it's all right. How your rain sounded way worse.
Well, I thought to myself, well, first of all, let me back up. My coworker who I was helping out with his walks, his accountability buddy is back from vacation, but he went ahead and said, well, I'm going to do elliptical today because of the weather. And I said, well, while you're doing elliptical, I'll come on in with you guys and I'll just do some lifting. So I started doing some weightlifting, and I'm going to start adding back some weight training in addition to the running. Yeah. So we're fortunate enough to have a gym at our work. So
nice.
I was able to do that and did some very light 3 sets of 8 across a pretty wide variety of upper body exercises, both pushers and pullers, just to kind of get everything back to moving like that and getting it used to it. And then I'll start adding weight probably next week.
And I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I feel like when when you're running, you have to have good upper body strength.
Certainly have to have core strength
to carry yourself, because I've noticed when I have neglected that, later stages of a half marathon, I'll feel kind of tense and cramping in the shoulder and upper back area. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
that during the day, I bailed myself on my ability to get a quick workout in. And then when I got home, I said, well, let's have dinner. And we made some very nice plant-based burgers.
Yes.
Celebrating our, we weren't able to grill out. So we kind of, had our own version of grilling out.
Yeah.
And so after dinner, I said, well, I'm going to go get my run in. So I thought I'd go knock out a 5K. And I started out pretty good. And I got through about 2 miles before the rain hit.
Oh, it sounded terrible.
And it cut loose. And it didn't, it wasn't subtle and it didn't phase in. It just...
Bam.
Yeah, bam. And I'm like, well, I'm at mile 2. I'm over a quarter mile away from the house. Either way, I'm going to get soaked. I'm going to be just as wet if I run home or if I just finish. So I just took off and kept going. And I was initially going to do, for my entire run, 5-second run, 55-second walk.
Oh, 5:55.
My goal for this week is to do a 5K a day.
Oh.
And each day I'm going to up my interval. So today is a 5:55, tomorrow's a 10:50, the next day is a 15:45.
Ooh.
The next day will be a 20:40.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm going to go all the way till I get to a 30:30.
Ooh.
And
I don't think you've talked about a 30:30 on the show.
It's been a while since I've done one. So I've decided, I'm going to see how that progression does during the week with very little, if any, recovery time other than a night's sleep between runs. So that's kind of my experiment for the 5K challenge or the 30K challenge.
Oh, well, speaking of the 30K challenge, we just completed the Gauntlet challenge, the 60K.
Yes, that was a series of 10Ks, and the medal and the little, I guess, gems that stones are little magnets that fit into this infinity gauntlet shaped medal.
Yes.
And you earn 1 stone for each 10K that you do. Well, the 5K or 30K challenge.
We talked about that. On the back of it, it says, I am inevitable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And we actually talked to the people from Medal Chasers, Bill and Christina Craig, who are the founders of that one, who put together such a great medal, ribbon, and race bib.
Yes.
Finisher kind of deal on episode 113. And we just couldn't help ourselves, so we got on the wait list for this 30K because the medal is the Tony Stark version of the... I know it has a specific name. Come on, my comic book genius. It has a specific name, right?
It does, but it's escaping me.
Oh my God!
I'll remember it in a second. But it is the red Iron Man version of the Infinity Gauntlet. I want to say that they call it the not the Nano Gauntlet.
The Nano Gauntlet, yes.
Is it the Nano Gauntlet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is very similar, except whereas the Infinity Gauntlet is, one's left-handed, the other one's right-handed. And this one, the metal, is that red, very glossy
I love
red.
it.
Looks like Iron Man's fist. I mean, it's just super
great.
Cool. A lot of attention to detail. Again, everything that we said about the original 60K challenge applies to this one.
The heft of the metal. My favorite part of this one, should I say my favorite part, or should we talk about that next week when we finish?
Let's save that for when we finish.
Okay.
And we'll probably do maybe a little reveal of what this medal says on the back.
Okay.
Maybe in like an Instagram live or something, because it's super cool.
I love it. I love it. I loved the first challenge. I loved Bill and Christina and what they do for the running community. So if you haven't checked out our interview with them on episode 113, you really should. They're great people.
They are, and their company is giving runners an opportunity to support charities,
Yes.
to get some bling, to give themselves those extrinsic or external motivators to get out, get moving, stay moving, especially when right now everybody is being urged to socially distance and not congregate and all of that.
Yes.
This is giving you some great opportunities to keep your edge, to train, to give you goals to achieve, and get some awesome bling in the process.
Yes, and this particular challenge also benefits the Pinky Swear Foundation.
And you do have a link to this in the show notes.
I do.
So if people want to check out this or any of their other races.
This medal was in very high demand, so much so that they had a waiting list and they emailed us as soon as it was online. And I believe
I think you registered at like 10 o'clock at night the minute we got the email.
The minute we got the email, I registered. And I think on their website, the last time I looked, it said they only had like 6 or 7 spots left.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they'll probably sell out of this one again and then have another waiting list. Wouldn't surprise
I wouldn't be
me at all.
surprised. Yeah.
And this is a great excuse if you are a fan of Avengers Endgame, and for us it's kind of been the summer of the things that we geek out about. So it's been Disney, it's been Marvel, it's been Star Wars, and a lot of it.
Yeah.
So we're just having as much fun as we can finding some of these virtual races, and we're telling you about these specific races, but these companies do other races.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Feel free to check out some other stuff, but I'll have you know that even in the rain, and I got soaked.
Literally.
Literally. I was running in a cotton canvas kilt and a race shirt, and my shoes are soaked. My kilt was soaked. That thing was probably 8 pounds heavier when I peeled it off. But my times, I figured I'd share this one. I actually had a running 5:55s, and I did vary from that at the very end. In the last 0.3 miles or so, 0.5 miles, I was running, instead of a 5:55, I was running more of a 16 or 15:45, just in that last bit, because I was trying to get it done and get out of the rain as quickly as I could. But my time ended up being 45:35. So I averaged 14 minutes, 39 seconds a mile. So not too bad.
Well done, sir.
Yeah, not too bad for what was going to really be my kind of
a whole lot faster than I went today.
Well, it was going to be my entry-level run for the challenge. So that's kind of the bar I've set for myself. I have to try to beat that now. So we'll see.
You will.
And if I don't, no one's going to sweep me. That's the beauty of a virtual race.
It is.
So, but all that running does make you very, very hungry.
Indeed, as we have said before.
Fortunately, have a great place that is back and available to take care of our hunger and feed us when we are in need. And that is our friends at Death by Taco 239.
Yes, we featured and talked about their food back on episode 106 when they had the guacamole. And we talked about the unique take on tacos.
Yeah, Skylar is a bit of a genius, and he and Jovina and Greg are doing some amazing stuff with street tacos. And they're going in such different directions. And
they're so different than, I know we talked about the place in St. Augustine, Osprey Tacos. Back here, flashing back to the last time we actually traveled.
Right.
And I just think they are both outstanding, but this is so unique, and I love that we have this locally.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that normally you can find them outside of Nice Guys Pizza every Monday when Nice Guys Pizza is normally not serving. but also you can find them in different places in the community as well. Under normal circumstances, they partnered with Palace Pub and Wine Bar, and they were planning before all this hit to be in several different places. But for sure, if you are local, they are outside of Nice Guys Pizza every Monday.
Yeah, and they are starting to look for other locations to head to. They know that a lot of breweries are kind of settling into regular taco or regular food trucks to be there because they're trying to take care of their partners, their taco or their food truck. I keep calling them taco trucks. Their food truck partners
because we love tacos
to give them a regular stable income, and that's totally understandable, but they are back up and running. They're going to be doing the Nice Guys thing, and they're going to be hitting additional locations throughout Southwest Florida very soon, especially as businesses begin to continue to reopen.
And actually, they are going to be outside of Nice Guys on several occasions throughout the week. They're really good at posting on their Facebook and their Instagram, their weekly schedule, so you know if you get some bonus Death by Taco.
Yes.
During the week.
And what they do is they say, hey, we're starting at 4:00 and we're going to go till we sell out.
Yeah, on Mondays.
Yeah, so they're not really giving you a closing time.
Right.
And this is the type of place that the sooner you get there, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah.
Because they have a pretty loyal following on social media.
Yes.
People show up, they bring their appetites, and they are slinging tacos like you wouldn't believe.
And I think the last time we were there, we saw several people from some local businesses just inputting massive orders for take back to the office. Yeah,
I had to drop my car off for routine maintenance on Friday, and we were heading back, and I said, hey, Aim, Death by Taco's doing lunch. Let's go. Yay. And we headed over. And basically, Nice Guys doesn't open that time of day.
Right. They do they did the taco truck like 11 to 4, and then they opened Nice Guys after that, around 5.
Nice Guys was doing the alcohol sales.
Right. Which is awesome.
Taco truck was doing the food. So we grabbed a seat outside, and which was great. They had some nice outdoor seating, all properly socially distanced and spaced out. And they were doing table service from the food truck, which was very odd, but it was kind of cool. So, we ended up grabbing, some beer from inside, some tacos from over there, and just hanging out and soaking up some sun.
Oh, it was. Well, they also had some nice shaded seating.
Yeah.
As well for this hot Florida weather. They have traditional tacos, and they have house tacos, and also I think this is new on their menu since we talked about them.
The kits?
Yeah, the DIY taco kits.
This is or really custom made for the grab and go, feed your family, grab and go, feed your office.
Yes. Yeah, because they feed 4-ish people. They come with the protein, all the fixins, sauces, and a pound of tortillas. And you could have a traditional kit, a chicken tinga, a Saigon, or a Szechuan kit. Those DIY, I think those are really, really great. And speaking of those flavors of tacos.
Yeah, we had 2 of those that were mentioned.
Yeah.
And then we had a repeat of one that we've had in the past. So,
we waited so long.
Well, let's start with the one that we had. We both had. We overlapped a little bit. Both of us got 2 orders of tacos.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, we got 3 orders of tacos. We each got an order of the Rockefeller tacos, and then we got an order of the Szechuan and the Saigon tacos, and then we split those. So we each had one Szechuan and one Saigon.
Yeah. So the Saigon, are we starting with the Saigon or the one we shared?
Let's start with Rockefeller.
Oh, the Rockefeller. We're starting with my favorite then. Oh my goodness. The Rockefeller, which is vegetarian.
It is so strange that
vegetarian.
One of the best tacos on their menu ends up being the vegetarian option.
Because you would think, it's named Rockefeller, you would think, it's actual oysters.
Right.
But it is, in fact, cornmeal-fried oyster mushrooms, pickled sweet corn, pickled mustard seed, preserved lemon aioli, shallot, fennel, slaw, and cilantro.
Let that soak in for a second. They take oyster mushrooms and they prepare them in a traditional method used to cook actual oysters. They do the cornmeal frying.
I loved it.
The oyster mushrooms that they use, you get this huge portion. These mushrooms are dense, they're meaty, they are just flavorful. They hold that batter really well, that cornmeal batter.
Yes, I don't know how he does that, what the secret is behind his magic, but that batter stays on those mushrooms. Oh,
and cornmeal batter,
and they're huge,
gives you the certain crunch. There's a certain,
it's different from flour
textural difference. Yeah. The grains of the cornmeal are larger, and I think there's a little individual crunch in the little grains themselves.
Yeah,
that is just unique. That's why I love it. If you're doing catfish, there's only one way to prepare catfish.
Yeah, I love
That's
it with
cornmeal
catfish.
battered catfish.
Yeah.
Hush puppies, same thing. You can't have a flour hush puppy. So
good.
Cornmeal is the secret here, and then these really nice quality mushrooms. And what I thought was great was they had some oyster mushrooms they started the shift with.
Yes.
They ran out, and they got a fresh shipment in while we were there.
Yeah.
So they were getting them right off the truck and putting them right in the batter and in the fryer.
Yeah.
So everything was super fresh.
Everything was clean, prepared, and ready to go so that they didn't lose any moment, and they didn't have to say 86 the Rockefeller.
And they don't overcook them. You know, if you overdo mushrooms, they shrivel, they give up all of their moisture, and then they get
too
tough.
Wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they fry them just enough to get a cook on them.
Yeah.
But they still retain moisture, and they have that meaty texture, and that's just so good.
So filling. And there are two pickled elements, the mustard seed and the sweet corn.
The sweet corn is the odd one for me. Like the sweet corn, you expect to get just a pop of sweetness from it. You know, you're looking at this looks like raw corn on the cob, or the corn that's been cut off of the cob, but they're putting it in a pickling brine, and you're getting this tart pop that's also sweet. That is just amazing. And the pickled mustard seed.
Mustard seed as a taco ingredient?
Weird.
But it works.
Totally
it's
works.
Unique.
Yeah.
It's a different crunch factor than, say, the breading on the cornmeal fry on the oyster mushrooms. It's like but it has, there are so many layers of texture.
This taco, if it was put in a fancy taco holder at a white tablecloth restaurant, they would charge you $18 for this plate of 2 tacos.
And you got 2 tacos on corn tortillas for $9.
Yeah. And 2 is plenty.
Oh, they're so filling.
They're very, very large. So you're getting a good amount of food for your money here.
Yeah. And I think if you just got that and you didn't get any other meat-filled tacos, you would be so satisfied.
You would. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we were doing research for all of you. Mm-hmm. So we're taking one for the team here.
Yeah.
So we also got an order of the Saigon tacos and an order of the Szechuan beef tacos.
And the Saigon tacos were $8 and the Szechuan were $9.
All right.
And for an order of 2 apiece.
So the Saigon taco, this one is pork confit topped with kimchi aioli, pickled carrot and onion, cucumber, jalapeno, and cilantro. The pork confit, first of all, is so perfectly cooked. Confit is basically a technique where you're poaching meat in fat. And they do such a good job of doing that technique. That pork is so tender and juicy, and you could tell like some bits of the pork maybe got out of the fat and were getting crisped under the broiler.
So you have the different textures.
So you have a little bit of crunch on just some of the ends of the pork.
Mm-hmm.
But
it wasn't overly fatty either.
No.
You know?
Not at all.
I mean, it just had just the right amount of meatiness and fat. And the kimchi aioli added a kick.
It adds a little bit of heat and a little bit of tartness.
Mm-hmm.
Kimchi is, if you're not familiar with it, is the best way to describe it is a spicy Korean sauerkraut.
Like a sauerkraut or a slaw.
It's basically fermented cabbage and spices.
Yeah.
So that's the friends of mine in high school, her mom used to make it, and she would actually make it kind of in like a traditional method and like put it in a jar and bury the jar. And,
ooh.
Yeah. Partly probably because it smells as it's fermenting, but but this is fantastic. I mean, the flavors that you're getting, the again, textures, the freshness of the cucumber and the jalapeno.
So good. Yeah, and it's fresh jalapeno. It's not pickled.
Right.
So.
And that makes all the difference too.
Because you already have the pickled vegetables.
Pickled jalapeno is a totally different food experience than a fresh. Mm. You know, you get a crispness and a waxiness in the heat from fresh.
Yeah.
And you get this tart, mushy, but heat kind of thing going from the pickled ones.
Yeah, and I think they have their place in other dishes, but I'm glad that this one was not the pickled one.
Agreed.
To go with, because you already had the other pickled vegetables at play.
Yeah.
You know? So it was just a different layer of heat, a different layer of flavor, and a freshness.
But was it overpoweringly hot to you?
No, because it wasn't like a ton of jalapeno. It was like maybe 2 thin slices.
And I think that they also did a pretty good job of de-seeding them so that they weren't trying to hammer you with the heat. They were just trying to give you the waxy pepper flavor.
Right. So it was very good, a very balanced taco flavor.
Yes.
Meaty.
Now, you said balanced for that one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Szechuan one for a second.
Okay, so Szechuan beef was the third and final flavor we had from the truck. Slow-cooked Szechuan beef, smashed cucumber, sesame, chili crisp, cilantro. So I am a fan of beef. I love steak, ground beef in tacos, So I love beef flavor. Mm-hmm. I think now the chili oil that they had on this taco is also served when they have guacamole over the top of that.
And it's an amazing accompaniment to guacamole.
To the guacamole. But I want to say it was a little bit too much of a punch in this for me.
Yep, it's fun. That I was waiting, so like she's getting quiet. What's she gonna say? Oh, she's saying the same thing I'm thinking. The Szechuan beef taco, great flavor.
Oh yeah,
very rich.
Yeah.
This is the one I think that was crying out for a little hit of an acidic bite. The smashed cucumber. It gives you kind of a cooling thing, but you've got they don't skimp on the meat filling.
No.
And I think that it was just kind of muted by all the meat in there. It needed something like maybe a squirt of lime or a pickled vegetable.
Additional vegetable.
It needed some acid.
Yeah.
I mean, liked it.
It was great, but it
was heavy.
Yeah, but I don't think I couldn't finish two of them.
Oh no.
I could not finish 2 of them because they are so rich. If I had my pick of any tacos on this menu, I would go for the Rockefeller every time.
Oh, absolutely.
I love it.
I would do the Rockefeller and then I would do the Saigon.
And the Saigon is just great.
Yeah. Now, they also have a chicken tinga on the menu, and that's a chipotle chicken with salsa verde, cotija cheese, and then they actually garnish it with a chicharron.
Nice.
And cilantro. So you get a little bit of a crisp bite from the chicharron as a garnish.
Yeah.
Now, we also started our meal with an order of nachos.
We did.
They are doing fresh cooked
Not
tortilla.
nachos. We did queso.
Queso with chips.
We did queso.
they actually are fresh frying the tortilla chips. Their queso has burnt tomatillo and poblano and beer and Tajin spice.
Oh.
So a Tajin spice, best way to describe that is a little bit spicy,
like
a little bit
lime,
lemony.
kind of.
Yeah, kind of like
citrusy,
a chili lime.
Yeah.
Sort of spice.
Yeah.
But what an amazing queso that
I don't know
have.
what beer. They don't disclose what beer they used, or maybe they vary it up from time to time, but I'm telling you. Oh, the queso. Just get it if you're local.
Yeah, bring your appetite.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, you eat like a king. Like we got 3 orders of tacos, so you're talking $9, $18, $26 there for 3 orders of tacos that we split.
Yeah.
And then an order of queso and chips for $7.
So good.
We were stuffed.
Yeah.
That was our meal for the day.
I mean, we could have stopped at probably the queso and the Rockefellers.
Yeah. We'd have been pleasantly full.
Yeah.
We were suffering for you.
Research.
Out there in the Runcation Nation.
For everyone.
So.
Yeah, because we want you to travel to this area when travel resumes.
When travel resumes, we want to have a big meetup at one or all of these places we've talked about in Southwest Florida.
Yes.
And then when we go to these other places in other parts of the country, we want to meet up with you there too.
Yes. So that is why we suffer through this delicious food at this awesome food truck. And hey, Death by Taco 239, welcome back.
Yeah, we're glad to have you back.
Bravo.
But before we go on, we did want to talk a little bit about the sponsors for this week's show, and that's you guys.
That is patrons of the Runny Drink Podcast.
We got to talking about a year ago about how we could bring members of the Runcation Nation kind of into the fold and bring them in closer and give them more access and more content and do some other cool stuff, and in what ways we could do that. And also we had people asking, how can we support you? You know, we have the digital tip jar, we have shirts and swag you can buy. But some people just wanted to say, you know what? Hey, somebody's got to buy the coffee. So let me do that. And
we got to keep you caffeinated on a regular basis.
They see your coffee memes every day, so they know that we drink a lot of coffee. So, we started putting together a Patreon, and lo and behold, before we even launched it, we got our first patron.
So excited. Yes.
So, that was kind of the impetus for us to really dive into that and say, okay, here's what we're going to do for patrons. So what we did was we came up with our patron program through both Patreon and for Podbean users.
Yes.
Both patron programs are identical.
Yes,
so it doesn't matter which way you go, and you don't have to do both.
Right.
You don't have to do any of them.
No.
We're going to keep making the Running Drink podcast, but we just want to give the members of the Runcation Nation an ability to take part and kind of, get some ownership in the show and help support it
on an ongoing basis, because several people at races that we have run have asked us, how can we support you on a consistent basis for all that you bring to us? So you can find out more and support the show at patreon.com/runnydrinkpodcast.
And there are patronage levels from $2 to $10. So $2, $5, or $10 a month. Each level has its own special perks that go right along with it. Of course, the $10 level, those are our insiders. That's the level where you get all of the cool special content.
Yes.
And we've started posting some of that special content.
From cooking demos to special interviews.
And we have some more really cool interviews coming up.
Yes.
And we also have some cool video content coming up from our Zoom conferences with Paul Cottrell, who is making the Infinity Gauntlet Challenge cocktails.
Yes.
And we have some other interviews coming up in the not too distant future.
So you can check it out at patreon.com/runnydrinkpodcast or patron.podbean.com/runnydrinkpodcast. And we thank all of you for supporting the Run Eat Drink podcast.
Now, while we were there getting our feet on, we did have to have something cold and wet to wash it down.
Indeed.
And
that would be beer.
And our friend Taryn Farrell, who works at Nice Guys Pizza, who is a trained Cicerone.
She is a certified beer server.
Yes. We were saying, hey, it's like 1,000,000 degrees out. We're going to have some awesome tacos.
True.
What do you recommend? And she said, we got a new one in. It's a new offering from a brewery we haven't had before or haven't had in a while, called Sun King Brewing. And it's called their Pachanga Mexican lager.
Sun King Brewery. Yes. And I think that they're out of Indiana.
I believe you're correct.
And a Mexican lager is a perfect hot weather beer, I think.
Yeah. They tend to really, a Mexican lager tends to be light color, light body, moderate, light to moderate carbonation, and the flavors tend to be what? More corn, more malt?
Well, malt, grain, cereal, and lime are listed as the aroma on their website. And
I meant in general Cicerone in training. I mean, like when you start thinking of like Modelo Especial.
Yeah, they're bready.
Yeah, they're kind of,
It's not like you get.
Not a huge hop.
Yeah, not like an IPA.
Smack in the face.
Not like an IPA, not like any kind of pale ale. It's not biscuity flavors. It's not coffee. It's not toasted or burnt flavors. It is just that initial bread-like flavor. And it's super light.
Yeah.
In terms of the body, and the ABV is super low at 4.2, with the bitterness super low as well at 24.
Oh,
IBU.
yeah. So 24 IBU is basically not bitter. I think that's pretty safe to say.
Yeah, I've seen things 60, 70, 80 IBU. No.
And I'm sorry, we are talking specifically, I was talking generally about the style, the Mexican lager style.
Oh, yes.
But you're saying Pachanga itself is 4.2 and 24 IBU? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, but that is typical of a Mexican lager, a lower ABV.
Right.
And a lower bitterness on the IBU.
And again, those are characteristics I think most people like for a hot weather beer.
And we are welcoming summer. This is the unofficial welcome to summer today.
It is.
We were welcomed by thunderstorms, not thunderstorms, but rainstorms but we had a refreshing beer to toast the start of summer.
Well, what did you think of it?
It has a light body. It has medium carbonation, and I have no real noticeable hop flavor
At all?
No, I didn't get any, really. And I mean, you said a couple of different things that I didn't get, but I got a light body, medium carbonation, like a yeasty kind of nose. On their website, they say that it's like malt, grain, cereal, lime. Mm-hmm. I didn't get any lime on the nose. I got like a very yeasty nose.
Okay.
So I don't know if they normally would serve this with a lime or I don't know, but I didn't get that at all.
Okay.
Just having it, it like a dough-like bready flavor is what I came away with. So
interesting.
How did you feel about it? What did you get from it?
Looking at it, I thought that this had a light to medium golden yellow color.
True enough. And it's in the artwork, so you can see that.
Yeah, and it had a very slight haziness to it. It wasn't 100% clear, like a clean clear.
That is true.
But it was transparent. It wasn't like a hazy IPA.
Right.
I thought that it had moderate carbonation, which I think moderate carbonation is perfect for drinkability. If it's a light carbonation, sometimes it comes off as flat, and it depends on the style of beer.
Right.
And a heavy carbonation is really hard to drink.
Right.
At least drink quickly or drink.
We had something recently that had like almost no carbonation, and it came across as wine almost.
Yes,
to me.
but that was one of those sours that they were doing at 8 Foot.
Yeah.
I said that this had a light and airy head that dissipated quickly after pour. It had a faint yeast smell on the nose, is what I said. Yeah, this reminded me more of uncooked bread dough than a cooked loaf of bread. The dominant flavor, the dominant flavor is uncooked bread dough. That's what I get from it. Clean finish, ever so slight bitterness on the back of the tongue after swallow. But I say here, nothing fancy. Very straightforward flavor profile. Would pair well with tacos and spicy food. And I also said this would be great for cookouts, poolside, and for hot weather, mowing the lawn.
Which is
Yard
what
work.
we are in the middle of right now. And I say a dough-like bready flavor in a good way.
Oh, yeah. That wasn't a complaint.
It's not a complaint. It's not a negative kind of thing, because I like the bready flavor of beer. And you get that in this Mexican-style lager. We get that in one of our favorites, Moosehead.
Yes.
That we like to have post-race, like at a Disney race, or just in general.
Which is also a light Canadian lager.
Yeah.
So it's very similar in terms of the final product. ABV, IBU. Yeah.
Yeah. But also, we've had similar characteristics in No Nombre from Fort Myers Brewing.
Well, that is their Mexican lager.
Yeah. So I see similar patterns across this style of beer. So I would definitely have it again. I'm glad that they are, a brewery in the north that is distributing down here.
Yes.
That's nice to see.
That also means that this might have some wider availability for our listeners.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in maybe finding a great hot weather beer to check out, you may be able to find one at your local ABC or Total Wine, big box store, or your local mom and pop if they have a craft beer section.
Right. Or, if you want something like it, then you could get like a Modelo Especial.
That's going to
right?
be at any of your larger grocery store chains, I think. And
something similar.
Yeah. Something in that vein. Yeah. Can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
And there's the dog.
I recommend it highly.
So does the dog, apparently. No, this beer provides a very light body, very drinkable character. It is a style that I've come to appreciate more over the last couple of years. And I think that it actually started with the lighter lagers. It started with Moosehead, and
it did. For me, it did.
When we were running the California races, I think that's the first time we ever had a Modelo.
That is so true. Did we not have it at Sabroso?
At Sabroso.
Nice.
So that's kind of where we got introduced there. And then, Fort Myers Brewing with No Nombre. And so we're starting to see, to see the style and go, oh, let me try that version of that one. So, again, I would get it again.
Oh, I would too.
Was fantastic.
Yeah. I didn't get any bitterness from it.
I think that when I say bitterness, this was more of like an aftertaste at the back of my mouth.
I know it's not like a hoppy type bitterness, so don't let that kind of dissuade you.
No,
I really liked it.
There is zero hop character to this on the front end at all. It really, this is more of a celebration of the grain than it is the hop.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
Check it out.
We will link to it in the show notes.
Yes. And I love their can.
Yeah.
They have a picture of their artwork on their website. Their can has a piñata on it.
Fun. I like it.
So, very cool.
Well, we have run. We have eaten. And we have had a tasty beverage in the drink portion of our show.
Yes, we have.
You know what?
What?
We have to end the show saying a very hearty welcome to a brand new insider of our Patreon program, Rob Nadow.
Rob brought you to tears.
Yes.
We got the notice that Rob signed up to become a patron, and not only become a patron, but become an insider, which means he's pledged to $10 a month, so he gets access to all of the special content we're going to be putting out. And the idea that we've got listeners out there that are liking what we're doing and they want to see more and they want to see the special stuff that we're doing is so touching.
When the alert came on the phone that Rob had become a patron of the show, and not only a patron, but a $10 patron. So he gets the shout out on the show.
His name up in lights on our website.
His name up in lights at runeatdrink.net. And then a special thank you note and decal to represent the Run Eat Drink podcast out there in California where he is.
Or wherever he might be.
Or wherever, because he drives everywhere.
He posts the most amazing photos of his runs.
We are
in the
so
Runcation
jealous.
Nation Facebook group, which, by the way, if you are not a member, shoot us a message and say, hey, I'd like to join the Runcation Nation Facebook group. It's a private group. We will let you in.
Yeah.
And check out these vistas that Rob's running in. He was just in the desert Southwest in Utah, I think outside of Moab.
Yes.
How gorgeous. Like, kind of looked like he was running on the surface of Mars.
And great temperatures, too.
Well,
low humidity.
Low humidity, yes. I think the great temperatures is all about time of day.
Yeah, I'm sure. What I love about the stuff that he contributes is right now, all of us are hankering to travel somewhere and run a race. And Rob, he contributes those beautiful vistas so that we can live vicariously through him. And we can't thank him enough for supporting our show. He says, I love what you do. And so I want to become an insider and I want to support you. And we just can't thank Rob enough for becoming an insider and for what he contributes to the Runcation Nation.
Yeah, he's awesome. And if you love what you're hearing and you want to help us keep the lights on and the bandwidth flowing, you can become a patron and support the show. Don't forget, we have multiple patron levels from $2 to $10, each with their own special perks. Find out more and support the show at www.patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Or if you're a Podbean user, you can just go on over to patron.podbean.com/runeatdrinkpodcast.
Well, we want to thank you for coming along on the ride during this episode. We are so glad that we could join you in the car, at home, as a part of your Memorial Day weekend.
A special shout out also to Chris Darling. He shot me a message while I was on my run today. He's been catching up on episodes.
Oh, yeah?
And was very, he's like, let me know if you need any to talk or anything about your getting ready to run the Disney in 2021.
Woohoo!
I'm like, thank
Yay!
you. Thank you so much.
So we appreciate you listening. We appreciate your listener feedback and your support. And just thanks for hanging out with us during an hour out of your week.
We hope that we're able to brighten up your week for the hour that we've got you here.
Yeah.
We can't thank you enough for joining us.
And we can't wait to join you next week when we recap this 30K challenge. And we talk about and reveal a little bit more about the medal and about the rest of the 5Ks that we're running, plus so much more.
Some amazing food and drink as well.
Yes. So tune in next week. But for now, I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
And we will talk to you really soon. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having a great third year because of your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're at Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or shoot us an email at info at runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.